Hello and welcome here to a TalkFCB podcast, and this basically is me talking as we've reached the international break. We've played 2 La Liga matches, we've started the season well, we're going into the international break top of the league, and it's basically going to be me reflecting on what we've seen so far from Barcelona and how we assess the way we've gone about our 2 games, the change in style that we've seen, the performances that we've seen from the players, and just generally what we expect in the rest of the campaign, how we expect to go about our business. The transfer window has ended, how we assess what happened in there, and basically just a review of what we've seen so far from this season up to this point, because the first 2 games of La Liga, you always know when you start the La Liga season, you've only got 2 games until the international break. In Serie A, it's only 1 game. In the Premier League, it's 3 matches. And it's quite a disrupting thing, the international break. Players go away, they fly to all 4 corners of the world, and it's very, very difficult to actually keep up that match fitness and that match sharpness when you're away on international duty. So it was important that we got the 2 wins, because what that allows us to do is go into international duty with good confidence, with good togetherness in the squad, knowing that we're doing the right things. And what it then enables the players to do is go away and believe that when they come back, things will still be the same. You know, we'll still go about our matches in the same sort of way. We'll still play the same way. Even though we've been away on a break, we've got to carry on the same with that same consistency. And that's what this season is about, really. In La Liga, if you are going to win a league title, things need to be consistent. We saw last season with Atletico Madrid how good they were on a regular basis, how solid their play was, and how consistent they were throughout the league campaign. That's what we need to do. We need to replicate that. We need to be very, very consistent. And we started in the perfect manner. What we did was, we didn't play in the Super Cup for one of the first times in a good few years. That gave us a few weeks rest, enabled us to play the John Gamper Trophy a little bit later in the pre-season. It allowed us to get all our transfers out the way before we started the season. We had a number of weeks now where our transfers have been training with the squad, have been playing pre-season friendlies. We got our business done very early, which is a very, very big advantage, and was something that maybe Zubizarreta and Bartomeu don't get enough credit for, is how early we got them done, how Luis Enrique was then able to integrate them into the squad, and thereby very, very good togetherness, very, very good team play right from the start of the season. That was important. I think to start against Elche was a nice game to start with. It's a home match. You always like to play the first match at home in the season. The crowd, get behind you. There's a good spirit about the place. And what we did in that game was we showcased to the fans exactly what's coming. And that's what we needed to do. We need to give the fans and give us all something to be very hopeful about, very, passionate about and excited about going into the new season. We beat Elche 3-0. It was a brilliant performance, though, in terms of the way we played. Mascherano, of course, got sent off. That was the only negative. But in the way that Luis Enrique wants us to play, we saw what he expects. We saw what he's going to do. We saw a lot of the new signings play well. And, of course, there's nothing better in the Barca fan than watching a young prodigy come through from La Masia and make sure he makes his mark. And Munir El-Haddadi in that game really did set the place alight, coming off to a standing ovation. How pleased he must have been during that match to score his first La Liga goal on his first La Liga start. And it was a really, really big thing for us fans to see somebody who we've been watching in the lower ranks for a number of years now to come through and to play that well was really, really exciting. And that got a good, reception from the crowd. The crowd are very pleased that Luis Enrique was looking to his younger players, was looking to those to see what was there. Last season, Telemartino hardly looked at the B-side, hardly gave anyone a chance. Luis Enrique has already shown that if he does need to, he will dip into that younger pool of players. And when he does, they're a very, very good quality there. And we saw it with Munir, and later on I'll be talking about Sandro. So it certainly does happen. In terms of the way we went about the game, though, a very, very good goal from Lionel Messi. Munir scored, Messi scored again, and it was very important for the performance of Lionel Messi that the crowd saw that in itself. Us Barca fans watching on always want to see Messi playing well with the team, and he did. He put in a real good performance, a very, very thorough performance. He was back defending, he was making these burst runs. He was getting the ball in very, very deep, but then he was getting the ball very, very high up the pitch as well, which is what we want to see. We don't want to see Messi coming too deep in matches, and we didn't really. We saw the pressing return, which is always very, very key when you're looking at style of play. Pressing is something we have to do, and something that Luis Enrique is going to make sure that he brings back. And I think that was the key, really. It was the way that Luis Enrique was going to play his matches, and we saw that right from the word go, that he's put his stamp on it, that he's put his mark on it, and that we saw how good we're going to be this season. And it did give the fans a lift, because I think going into this season, there was some signings which didn't really come off, the likes of Benatia, Marquinhos, Cuadrado. We didn't really make those happen, and some fans were a little bit sceptical going into the season if we were going to be able to cope without Luis Suarez for a number number of months as well. But it showed in the game against Elche, although we weren't the best opposition ever, Elche, but what we did show was that we are up for it, we are going to go for it, and the enthusiasm in the squad is back, and we certainly saw the enthusiasm in that game, and we won at 3-0, and it was a very, very big win. So straight away we're to the top of the league. Goal difference was good from that 3-0 victory. Real Madrid won their game against Cordoba, but they sort of struggled over the line in that one. That was very, very good for Barca fans to see. Atletico Madrid as well dropped points in their game against Rayo Vallecano, so straight away we've gained a bit of an advantage over them. So it was important for us to get a good win and some good goal difference as well. Going into the next game then, against Villarreal, was always going to be tough. You know, those people who, thought we were going to go in there and won 3-0, it was never going to happen. I thought we might get the win with maybe a little bit more comfortable, but when you go to El Madrigal, it's quite a small stadium, but the fans really do make themselves known. We've known the very, very hostile atmosphere from Villarreal now for a number of years. We saw what happened last season there. It's not good things, but in terms of the Villarreal players playing under that sort of atmosphere, it really does have a good effect on them, and they really do get behind their team. And Villarreal, absolutely brilliant side, and they play the ball about well. They've been in Europe this season, they've progressed to the group stages of the Europa League, and it was never going to be an easy game. We went there with the right attitude, that we started very, very well. Our pressing was good, we kept hold of the ball well, but just during the game it faltered away. Dani Alves was one of the ones who had given the ball away a bit too much, and it was those sort of games last season where we'd lost. We went to Athletic Bilbao last season, a very tough place to go admittedly, but we played poorly and lost. We played against Valencia at home, we played poorly and we lost, and it looked as though that was sort of going the same way against Villarreal. But what we had is a bit of luck. Admittedly, we had a bit of luck. There was crosses that went so close going across the box, nobody quite got a touch. There were some misses from Villarreal. Thomas Pina, Giovanni Dos Santos both hit the post. It looked like we may concede, but then when against all the odds, we had the determination, we had the right attitude, and we had the right presence of mind to go and get ourselves a goal, and that was important. That was a really, really big statement that we made at El Madrigal. The fact that maybe we didn't play at our best, we weren't at our best, but we got the result, we got the win, and that was really, really important to see. And again, it was nothing better than seeing a young prodigy coming through, coming off the bench and making a name for himself. Sandro Ramirez this time came off the bench. Luis Enrique put the trust in him, brought Pedro off, a big established name, brought him off, brought Sandro on, and maybe in a tap-in, but he was certainly in the right position to make it, and it was a very, very good goal in terms of the way it came about. And Lionel Messi, again, was reasonably quiet, but again, he was very, very decisive in the way that we scored that goal, and he was the man who created it. So it was a win at El Madrigal, which is again a very, very difficult place to go. So to get points on the board there as well, was very, very important. The way we won as well, of course, it didn't look like we were going to make the points. We made it, we got the 3 points, and then we put the pressure on Real Madrid. Atletico Madrid had already won against Eibar the day before, 2-1. Again, a pretty stuttering performance from them. And then it was all over to Real Madrid, who had a pretty tough test as well, going away to the Anoeta to face Real Sociedad. And of course, you saw in that game, it was an incredible match, 4-2. It ended to Real Sociedad. A brilliant game, but Real Madrid lost. And it was that simple, really, that Real Madrid went there, they played, pretty well for the first 10-15 minutes, then they fell away, and that was important. We got the Villarreal points, we got 3 points on the board, and then we put the pressure on Real Madrid. And quite frankly, they didn't deliver, and straight away they've dropped 3 points. So Atletico have already dropped 2 points, they've dropped 3, and we have 2 wins from 2, and that is really, really important for us to go into those first 2 games under a new manager, under a new system, under a new way of working with different players, and to see that we've got 2 wins out of 2, no goals conceded, which is a very, very big stat. We cannot make enough of that. No goals conceded. Now, I realise we've played opposition like Elche, but Villarreal, we saw the attack they have, the threat they have on the counter-attack. They are very, very capable of scoring, and we managed to keep them out, albeit with the help of the post. But no goals conceded is very, very convincing and very, very good for us, because of course our defence is known for being very, very mistake prone, not very good from set pieces. There's still work to do in that department, I feel, but certainly it's a very, very good start for us and something that we needed to do. I think we needed to build the confidence, we needed to get the fans back on side after the disappointment of last season. We did that well. We got 2 wins out of 2 at the top of the league, so straight away we're at the top of the league from game 1, we're at the top of the league from game 2, and going into the international break, top of the league, unbeaten, without any goals conceded, is the perfect possible start for Luis Enrique, and he'll be there, and he'll know that they started the season very, very well, and Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid will both be looking at us thinking, if only we'd have done that, because it's a great start. To go into an international break, to go into a break on top, gives you a lot of momentum, it gives you a lot of confidence, and it gives you a lot of peace of mind. Those players can go in international duty now knowing that when they come back, we're in the driving seat. We need to keep things in our own favour this season. We don't want to be relying on other teams to do us a favour. Last season, so much of the time we were waiting on other teams to help us out. We don't want to do that. We're in the driving seat now. It's all in our own hands. If we go out there and win our games and produce what we can win this league title. And I think it's very, very important this season that we keep the motivation, we keep the adrenaline going in that squad, because Enrique needs to keep them fired up. They cannot take their eye off the ball for 1 second, because there's teams in this league, there's a lot of people who don't watch La Liga, and they say it's a two-team league, no competition, it's a rubbish league. That is nonsense. There's teams in this league which can cause upsets. Last season, for instance, we saw relegated Osasuna beat Atletico Madrid and draw with Real Madrid, and it was so exciting to see players go there and turn off, because what happened was we'd go to lower opposition and we'd switch off. We'd lose our concentration, we'd be complacent, and it didn't work. We'd lose games. Luis Enrique is known to be a motivating character. He's known to be a very, very hands-on manager, and he needs to be, because he needs to go there, motivate the players, and make sure they're in the right frame of mind every single match, because that is so important. We need to make sure we're at the races, because in this league, you can't take your eye off the ball. You have to be consistent. You've got to keep the momentum going, and we started in the perfect possible way. So it's a great start. It's a brilliant start, but again, we cannot get carried away. We can't think we've won it already. We're 2 games into the season at the end of the day. 2 games which maybe we'd have expected to win. The next game is a big one at home to Athletic Bilbao. We'll have a preview on this channel coming of that next week. A very, very big match at home against very, very tough opposition. Bilbao have been in absolute brilliantly form, getting through in the Champions League group stages against Napoli, and then beating Levante 3-0 at the weekend in a very convincing win at San Mamés. We're going to bring them to the new camp. We have to win that as well. But it's certainly going in the right direction for us, and the new signings look very, very good as well. It's been a very, very good start as a Barca fan to watch on and see something positive and exciting to go into the new season. And I'm really, really pleased with the way we've started and the way we've played as well, because that's important. It's not all about results. We saw last season when Tata Martino won a number of games. It's not all about results. We need to see the team playing well. We need to see the style remaining, the philosophy remaining. And Luis Enrique appears to be ticking all the boxes at the moment, and that's going to be really important to the fans. So what do you make of our start, guys? A lot of your opinions, is it something different? What do you make of the way we've played? What do you think of the results that have happened? I love hearing your opinions, guys, so please don't hesitate to get involved below. But this is just basically a quick podcast. I just wanted to let you know what I thought of our start, in the international break now. The games get a bit lonely, don't they? We forget about La Liga and Barcelona, but it's about a week and a half now until we're back out at the pitch at the new camp, so not too long for you guys to wait. We'll have more podcasts coming up here on TalkFCB. So thanks very much for listening in. I'd love to know your opinions, as I say, guys, so don't forget to get involved below. But thanks for watching. As always, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you very soon in the next podcast.